Hello fellow cinephiles, Film Guru here. Today I'm reviewing the new Charlie's Angels film that was written and directed by Elizebeth Banks and stars Kirsten Stewart, Ella Balinska, Naomi Scott and Patrick Stewart. The film really focuses on Eleanor, a young system engineer who blows a whistle on a dangerous technology. Charlie's Angels are called into action. The film really continues on the story of the Charlie's Angels. The investigation agency has expanded internationally, with the world's smartest, bravest and most highly trained women all over the globe. There are now teams of angels guided by multiple Bosleys. Look, overall, I thought this film was okay. It wasn't brilliant or fantastic, but it was solid. It was entertaining, it had humour, and there was just something about it that I did kind of like. I kind of preferred the other films they did in the early 2000s to this film, but visually this one's a lot better. I think Elizebeth Banks, as writer-director, did a solid job to sort of bring back the Charlie's Angels and do something a little different with it. It does feel a bit of familiar ground, but they try and add new elements to it that kind of work, I guess. Look, there's things I liked about this and things I didn't like as much. So the things I kind of liked were, I think all the Charlie's Angels were really good. Kristen Stewart, Naomi Scott, and also Ella Balinska, who they worked and mingled well together, I thought. I thought the action sequences were fairly well done. They're very practically shot, most of all. They were just kind of fun and interestingly done, I thought. I like that they're trying to expand the world, that they acknowledge and pay tribute to the other films and the TV series that came before, and the idea that Charlie's Angels keep growing and evolving and changing. I kind of like that. Some characters are kind of interesting, but it just feels like familiar ground in many ways. I think Patrick Stewart's really solid in this as usual. He does a good job. There's one in particular hitman villain that's really well done, I think, who doesn't speak all the way through, has tattoos and is always well dressed, and he has a variety of different weapons that are really well used and unique. I think some of the music worked really well, and some of the humour hit. Not all of it did, but some of it did, and I thought that was kind of interesting. But the real sort of standouts here for me, I think, like I said, Patrick Stewart's really good, but I think it's the newcomer Ella Balinska. I think she's really fantastic. She's very physical in this film, which is, she does a lot of the fight sequences herself, and it works really well. I think she does dramatic scenes really well. But her physicality is what shines here. I found her quite impressive in this film. I hadn't seen her before, and I'd like to see more of her. I think she's quite interesting actress. She's very tall and slender, and that sort of works for the sort of physicality that she has. And she has moments in this film of being dramatic and sort of humorous as well, and I think it works really well, and she's the real standout for me. I think she did a fantastic job. But that's about all I really liked about it. I felt like it was sort of a rehashed thing, like we're returning to something we've done before, where the sort of villain of the piece comes from within, which we've seen many times. They seem to keep coming back to this idea and this theory, which sort of is a bit cliched in many ways. And that's also what I feel with the storyline and plot in this film. It's a bit cliched. We've seen it before. There's nothing refreshing here or unique here. That's just sort of done the same way. I just felt they could have taken this and done something really different with it, but they didn't quite do that, even though it was still a fine movie. I think some of the humour didn't work. It just fell flat and didn't work really well. There was a bit of visual effects I didn't think worked really well for what they were going for either. The main thing I struggled with is most of the guys in this, they're either weasels, arrogant douchebags who are just sort of trying to show their authority and push women around. And I just thought that was a bit cliched as well. We've seen this before. We need something a bit different, I think. Some of the acting wasn't great. Some of the character choices I thought were silly. Some of the characters in it were really dumb. There's this guy that they call Saint or something like that, and I didn't think he was necessary in it. And it felt like I was watching, Kingsman in a way. Like you have this young person coming into this group, and then they're introduced to this world, and there's hidden rooms with guns in it, and clothing, and all this sort of stuff, and gadgets, and all that. And it just felt like we were watching that sort of thing again, and I think we've seen that enough. And I preferred how it was a bit more contained in the other film. Final thoughts. I just felt that they had a great opportunity to do something different here. Rather than retreading familiar ground or doing something we've seen before, they had a real opportunity to expand in many ways. I would have liked to see the idea of having the Eleanor character joining the angels, which they sort of look at in this film, but I thought that could have been the main focus, and then she goes on a mission, and then we're introduced, and then she's becomes part of this team. And I thought that could have been more interesting than what they did here, but still, it's sort of trying to show audiences once again, this is Charlie's Angels. This is a world they inhabit. We're expanding the world a little bit. And they changed a variety of other things, I guess. This film is far from terrible, but it's far from great either. It sort of sits in the middle somewhere. I'm going to give Charlie's Angels 2019 3 out of 5. I thought it was solid. It was a fine film. It was entertaining enough, and I got something out of it that I could enjoy. Anyway, that's all from me today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit subscribe down the bottom. Follow me on Facebook or Twitter. Otherwise, until next time, enjoy the movies.